Hello, everyone, and welcome to Washington County Kids Parent Speaker Series number 4. We're very excited to have you here, and we do expect a couple other people to join us. They'll just join in when they get here. My name is Shari. I will go ahead and let Talia make an announcement for us.
Muy buenas noches a todos y gracias por estar aquí. Hoy día es la cuarta reunión que vamos a tener y las personas que vamos a empezar con las personas que están y las personas que lleguen, bienvenidos.
Okay. Thank you so much, Talia. And at the end of the session today, we will have a door prize. You must be present to win, so stick around for that. And I think I'm going to turn it over to Katie Riley, she's the president of Washington County Kids. She'll tell us a little bit about Washington County Kids and get us started. Katie.
Y al final de la reunión nosotros vamos a hacer los premios, pero para ganar tienen que estar presentes acá. Vamos a pasar con la presentadora de Washington County. Y lo que necesitan, lo que necesitan intérprete pueden registrarse en el grupo de interpretación en español. Gracias.
Okay. So I think that if you are going to speak Spanish, you have to click on the interpretation button down at the bottom that looks like a little world and click on Spanish. And everyone else can probably do
I have mine
English.
off. I think you can turn it to English or leave it off. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it to English. Do we have anybody who speaks Spanish?
I don't think so far anyone's going to be taking Talia up on that. I don't think so. Okay. Talia, you're on the Spanish channel now? Yep, I can tell. Yeah, that's perfect. I got you. All right, here comes one more. Let me let her in. All right, Katie.
Okay, so everyone else should be choosing English on the interpretation channel down at the bottom, the little world symbol, unless you want to speak Spanish, and then you click on the Spanish option there. So Washington County Kids will tell you a little bit about that. So we are a nonprofit, and we basically act to try to increase access to out-of-school time programs in the county, and that includes early childhood, after school, and summer programs. And we are doing this by providing information to parents and guardians, such as our speaker series, like you're going to experience tonight. And then we also provide support to providers to let them receive training at little or no cost. And then also we provide information to parents so that they will know more about providers as well. And then we also do some advocacy regarding the needs of parents and guardians for these kind of programs. So we are very happy to have you tonight, and we are pleased that we are going to be hearing from Christina Matousek, and she will be talking about how to help your kids with homework without really doing it yourself. What a concept. Okay, so Christina, take it away.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Christina, and I think what I'm going to go ahead and try to do is do a share screen so that I can lead you through one of my PowerPoints. So bear with me just a second as I do the share screen.
While she's pulling that up, I just want to let everyone know, feel free to put comments or questions into chat, and we'll make sure that Christina is aware of them so that we can address them throughout.
Absolutely. If I was really good, I would be able to do two things at once, but I'm not. So Sherry and Katie are here to help me. So first and foremost, I am I'm an old teacher. I used to be a teacher for 10 plus years in northern Wisconsin. And if you can hear it in my voice as I continue to talk, I will slip into a little bit of a Wisconsin accent probably and talk about boats and homeroom and all the things that have an O in them so that my accent will be fun to listen to. But I also grew up in Chicago. So I am known for having a Chicago attitude with a Wisconsin accent. So go figure that one out. I will tell you that I have a master's degree in educational leadership, and currently I am the general manager for the Oak Hills Homeowners Association. A little bit of a disconnect in jobs, except for the fact that I get to work with high school kids and college kids on a regular basis as lifeguards and employees. So that part of my job's fun. I am on the board for NAMI Washington County. NAMI is the National Alliance for Mental Illness in Washington County, and it's a national organization, and I'm happy and proud to be a board member for NAMI. And I'm also a SACSI Advisory Council member. So SACSI, I don't know if any of you have special ed children, but I am one of the people that is on a committee that helps inform the Oregon Department of Education of the laws and the bills that are going to affect any student with special needs. So I, as a parent, sit on that committee. So that's me in a nutshell. But I also, the most important part of why I'm here is that I'm a mom. I have 4 children. My oldest is 18 years old and she's going to college next year. Yay. And I also have a 16-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 6-year-old. So I kind of have the spectrum. So I have an 18-year-old going to college, and I also have a kindergartner this year. So having a kindergartner on Zoom has been a bit of a challenge, but we're making it. So enough about me. I think that one of the most important things to learn or to know about homework and understanding why teachers assign homework, because really as a parent, it can be a little frustrating sometimes when you get overwhelmed with the amount of homework, the type of homework, the style of homework, and the fact that you're just fighting your child all the time on doing homework. But let's take a minute before we get into the hows to do some of the homework management. Let's get into understanding homework and its value. And if we understand the value of homework, then it makes it easier for us as parents to kind of digest how to work with your child to be able to stress what's most important. So number one, the homework teachers are looking for a check for understanding. They taught something throughout the day, and they are wanting the child to make sure that they understand what's happening, that they understand the process. They're reinforcing the skill that is learned in class. That's the most important, reinforcing the skill. You can't, I was thinking about it today and I thought, when I was a kid, if I would have just jumped in the pool and someone would have told me to swim without actually practicing the skill of doing the front crawl and reaching for the water in front of me, I never would have been able to, I probably would have drowned, right? Let's be realistic. And the teachers are looking to reinforce the skill with just practicing, simple practicing of the techniques. They're also teaching and learning responsibility. So students as early as kindergarten are coming home with homework assignments. The homework assignment for a kindergartner might be something like coloring a picture or coloring a picture of your family or writing your family's name and turning it back in. It's not really about what the assignment, it's more about, will the child learn to bring the assignment back to school the next day? So it's teaching and learning responsibility. It's also reinforcing the ability to process and to question. When students are by themselves and they have to reason something out and rationalize something, they are reinforcing their own ability to process and to question. Students are also learning to advocate for themselves by asking questions. Students can ask questions for help. I mean, if they're older, they can email the teacher. They can go to the teacher and ask for help with assignments. It's the process of learning to ask for help. It could be the student needs to come to you for help. And so part of the process of homework is being able to teach the student to advocate for themselves. And last, I like to look at it as a teacher's evaluation of the student's skills. How else does a teacher have the ability to understand or to know where the student is at unless they test them all the time, which no student really wants to be tested. So if they do homework assignments on a regular basis and they turn them in and they are graded, then the student can be, their skills can be evaluated by the teacher. So those are some of the basic reasons why homework has a value. And so if we look at that as a framework for understanding or for looking at why homework is important, then you can understand why we have to have some students do it and why it might make it easier for you. I labeled this tips on how to make the magic happen without the tears, because let's face it, we've all been there as parents where the kid comes home, they have homework, they don't understand what they're doing, they're super frustrated with it, or they're the student who is done with school. They've been sitting in a desk for 6 hours. They don't want to have to do any more math or reading or writing. They're just done. They want to go play on their Xbox. They want to go outside and kick a ball. They need to do something else. So how do we as parents really figure out or really try to manage that, to do the balance between having to do the homework and realizing, where your student is at in the process of trying to have fun with life in general. And I broke it down into three separate areas. Number one, I think it's important to create a space. Number two, time management is key. And number three, make it fun. Absolutely try to make everything fun. So let's go into those three things together really quick. So number one is create a space. Now, we all have been doing COVID learning styles. Until recently, most of us were not having students going into school at all. So everything was done from our home. It could be in the bedroom, it could be in the living room, it could be in the kitchen, it could be on the floor, in the pantry. For my kids, it's been the garage. So I knew that COVID learning was going to be a little difficult this year. And knowing that the kids had to have some kind of a space that was theirs, that was for homework or that was for Zoom. So if I created a space, now I'm not going to advocate moving into the garage in any way, but I will say that this year has taught us, or taught me as a parent, to be creative in the spaces that we use in our homes, so that the child feels like, or so my children felt like they had a special space that was theirs that they could use just for homework or just for school stuff. It's important that it's comfortable. Whether my son, who is 16, was sitting on a metal folding chair in the garage for about a month doing Zooms, and finally came to me and said, "Hey, Mom, this is a butt hurt chair. Like, I can't do this anymore. My bottom is hurting. It's in pain after 6 hours of sitting in this chair." And I actually feel for him. So he went and grabbed my husband's office chair from the office and brought it out and sits on that and is much more comfortable and is much more happy. Secondly, it's also got to be free from distractions. The more you can free the child up from any distractions that are around them, the better. This is an important one. When you're doing homework or when you're having that space that you're creating for kids, it's kind of important if you can do adult conversations in another room. That means that when I come home from work or my husband comes home from work and we are talking about work or anything that's happening in the world, sometimes it's important to have those conversations in another room so that the child has a free from distraction environment so they can focus on their work. At the same time, it's super important to be close by and ready to help them with any of their needs. If you are able to, create homework groups. a group of 1 or 2 kids, if you're able to go on to Google Meets, which is a free app, or on Zoom, get together with those kids and just get together and be able to do homework together. My 9-year-old son has realized that he really likes to do homework together. And so he goes on with a couple of friends, and they will sit and just have their cameras on and talk, but they'll be doing work at the same time. So he likes having that other person there, and it's a friend. And so they're doing the same assignment at the same time. And then make sure your child has everything they need for the assignment. You can kind of do some prep with that. If you have a place that they are in, make sure that they have a good, if it's an internet connection or a pens or pencils handy. If you know that there's something that they need for the assignment, then go ahead and get that before they need it, so that they're ready. My kindergartner is always needing glue, and it's a little scary how much glue she goes through, but I have bottles on the shelf just for her so that she can be ready with all the glue she needs. The second area that I kind of wanted to talk about was time management. It's key that we set aside a time each day for your child to complete the homework. And with that, it's key to also be consistent. If your child knows that after lunch is homework time, or at 2:30 every day is homework time before they can go out and play, or whatever works for your family. If it's after dinner is homework time, and that's all, maybe like family time and homework time. It's just the key of being consistent, whatever works for your family. If you need to set a timer, that's cool. I have done that so many times. Of course, it's age appropriate times. So I wrote down that my 6-year-old does 10 minutes on Dreambox. I don't know if everybody knows what Dreambox is. It's an app that the Beaverton School District is using for math assignments. It's just whatever their app is. But my 9-year-old uses 20 minutes. So there's a difference in how much time is expected for each student.
Christina?
Yeah.
I wanted to pop in and just tell you there was a question about chit chat, kids who like to chit chat, and I missed it when it came in.
Yeah.
Rachel, if you want to ask it, feel free to unmute yourself, but I think it's about on
Yeah,
your
I
previous
like
slide.
the idea how you said the homework, do the homework over the Zoom meeting, and that's really connect with each other, with their friend. But I worry they're doing homework, instead of they communicate about the homework, but they start like, oh, today I see this movie and blah blah, and then they start from there. And there, and you don't want to be there all the time, so they feel like you keep eyes on them. You want to leave them alone, have a space with a friend, but they could just chit chat and then they forgot about homework. How can
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, and this is just my parent perspective, I think that it's in this time right now that we're in a time that's unlike any other. I think it's extremely important for kids to have that social connection. So for kids to be on a Zoom together and working through an assignment, even if there is a little chit chat, I think it's okay, as long as a parent, you're watching to say that, is the end result done? Is the end result completed? And if the end results are not being completed, then you can go back and limit the time on the Zoom for the group chat, or you can take it away and use it as a let's work to get back to that group chat, the ability. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I got that idea. So which is, you kind of warning them about the consequence, say, oh, you need down this in, for example, 1 hour, but then you didn't down. If you don't down in an hour, and then maybe you chit chat too much, I will turn to like 40 minutes,
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. And I think that, what you said, I just lost what you had just said it in such a great way. It's important to give them the consequences. That's what you said. There are consequences to actions, and that's just something that the kids are learning. So if they don't complete the assignment, then the consequence is 20 minutes are taken away from Zoom. That's totally logical.
Yeah.
And can be, in this day and age right now with where we're at, I mean, Zoom can be a great tool for kids to use, or Google Hangouts if you don't have a Zoom account. I think I'm pretty sure Google Hangouts or Google Meets, I think it is free. So those types of things can be very good. And as a parent, you also can see what they're typing, or you can disable their chat feature. So there's a chat, like the typing chat at the bottom of it. And I'm pretty sure you can disable that feature of it during the conversation. So if kids just want to be in the same room together and have the ability to do an assignment, then you can do that and kind of monitor it that way.
Yeah, technology can do so much things for us.
Yeah. So with older children, it's sometimes, my high school kids, they often would tell me that the teacher would allow for time to do the assignments in the school, or in the classroom. I'm not sure how much that's happening right now during Zoom sessions, or when you're doing synchronous work in the schools online. But I do know that when the kids are back in school, hopefully the fall, full time. So when they're back, the teachers do allow for some time for homework in the classroom. And so sometimes it's important for us as parents to really stress, hey, take advantage of that. If you take advantage of the fact that they're giving you time to do homework with your friends, then you will have less to do when you get home. Therefore, you can go outside and play. So sometimes we just need to take advantage of those things. The other one is make it fun. So it's kind of hard to do with the high school kids' homework to make it fun, but there are ways in which you can do it. But with elementary school, it's a little bit easier. When you are working with the child with homework, smile when you ask a question. It just makes everything more fun. It makes you not look like the questioner all the time, and it just brightens up a child's, it just makes them a little bit more accepting to learn. A fun one, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but challenge yourself to see if you can complete their homework assignment. And I put in parentheses, without them knowing, because there are times in which I have tried to complete my middle school children's homework assignments and I have failed. And it's okay. I still have a master's degree. It's okay. I need to go back to middle school. But the point being, challenge yourself to see if you can do it on your own, just so that you can see what they're going through. If you're really struggling with homework and getting them to complete things, one idea is to have the child complete the odd or the even questions only. Sometimes teachers do this on their own, but I would say you are the parent and you know your child the best. If they are really struggling with an assignment and having a hard time, just have them do half of it. Make them do the odd, make them do the even, flip a coin. And it's, again, if we go back to the reasons why homework is important, then you'll remember that it's about the teaching the responsibility of completing it, but it's also about reinforcing the learning. The odd problems reinforce the learning just as well as the even ones do. Reward an entire week of completed homework assignments with something that your family is really into. If your child is really struggling doing homework, I am not above or not below. I don't know how that works. And anyway, I'm all about doing a reward. I think rewards are great. Reward them. And if it's a big deal for the kid to complete an entire week's worth of homework assignments, celebrate it. Absolutely celebrate when they do an entire week. That's awesome. Go to the coast, go play in the ocean for a day, go out. My son, I will say my 9-year-old son, his love language is food. And anytime I take him to a restaurant, he is happy as a clam. I could go to DQ and get him a blizzard and he'd be over the moon happy. So anytime you can reward an entire week of completed assignments, I think is good. For little kids, using stickers and charts does actually work. Kindergartners love to see a completed sticker chart. They love to physically put the sticker on the chart. I have a sticker chart for my kindergartner to remind her to brush her teeth. And she absolutely loves it. And she's the one who reminds me that the sticker chart is full, so she needs to get a prize. So stickers and charts for the younger ages. I also would advocate for asking the child's teacher to help you encourage doing homework. Ask the child's teacher to help you encourage homework completions. I'm sorry, I was reading it wrong. So if you can go to your child's teacher and say, look, we are really struggling with doing the homework and completing it on time, try asking the teacher for some help. And if the teacher celebrates the fact that the child did the homework and turned it in and makes a big deal out of it, then the child might be more likely, your child might be more likely to turn it in another time. They may not tell you about it, but they might be more likely to turn in the homework multiple times in a row, because sometimes the child, or your child, just like mine, my kindergartner would never tell me that she absolutely loves kindergarten and she absolutely loves her teacher. And she would never tell me that she completed any assignments. I have to see them all on Seesaw because she just doesn't get excited about showing completed assignments to me, but she loves the feedback that she gets from her teacher. So you as a parent can go to your teacher and say, I need help. I need you to help me celebrate the child doing the homework. If you are, oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to mention that Adriana had a really nice comment in the chat. She says that she has 2 jobs and 5 kids are in the care of my parents that don't speak English. So I always tell them to reach out to their teachers for support. And when they struggle with homework, I tell them to take notes and take them the next day to discuss with the teacher. It builds a great relationship between them.
I think that's great. Anything you can do that, and if the teacher knows that that kind of thing might be coming, that if you've had that conversation with the teacher saying, my kids are going to come and they're going to ask you these questions, they're going to take notes, they're going to come back the next day to ask and check for understanding, that's fantastic, because the kids are also advocating for themselves. That's the lesson that they're learning right there. And I think that's beautiful. The children are advocating for themselves and they're saying, I need help and I can't get it from, this person that I'm under the care of right now. And I'm just going to reach out, and they did it. And that's fantastic. That should be celebrated.
Yeah, and sorry, and I wanted to add too, like, it helps out so much with, accountability and responsibility as well. So my oldest is going to be 17, and it has helped her out through the whole years, because she's always asking questions, she's getting, if she doesn't understand, she's not afraid to speak up. So that's
awesome.
what has helped for me, so that, because I felt very, I feel really guilty not being there to support them. But just knowing that, they're advocating for themselves is a big change.
It's a huge thing, and it is a huge deal. So wherever they go from here on, I mean, like my 18-year-old who is going to college next year, I'm a little bit less worried about her because she has been taught that skill of being able to advocate for herself, whether it's a job, whether it is PCC as a college, they will advocate for themselves. And so I think that's just a beautiful thing. And so, bravo, good job. One of the things that I think is funny to do with homework sometimes is to do the homework with your child and purposely get the question wrong. I have done this, and I actually didn't purposely do it, but sometimes I will purposely get the question wrong just to see if they're checking for their understanding. Do they really understand? Are they going to correct me in what I'm doing? And how do they correct me? Do they yell at me? Do they call me names? Or do they just try to help me along? So it's kind of fun to watch when they actually do something right, or when I do something wrong. And assist the inquisitive mind by asking them questions about the assignment. So if you're asking questions of anything to do with the assignment, it's kind of fun to just keep on asking questions about it, whether you're cooking dinner and you're talking about you know, anything to do with baseball, what happened in baseball and the White Sox won this past week. Ask them questions, how that might relate to math, or how that could relate to a story that they could read or write. Just try to connect all those pieces together. One of the things that I also think is it really important to stress, and I think that we've kind of touched on it a little bit, is that allowing kids to fail is okay. So making mistakes is part of the learning process, and not always having the right answer is okay. It's part of the process, and we have to remember that as parents. The kids are not perfect. They will not always make the right choice. They will not always have the right answer, but it's part of the process. And I put in a little tweet that I got from one of my elementary school teachers when I was talking to her about this. And it was a pretty funny, the little tweet that's on the screen from Ben. I can't say his last name correctly, so I'm not going to. He got a 2.4 GPA his first semester in college, and he thought he wasn't meant for engineering. Fast forward, and today he's landed spacecraft on Mars. I mean, at kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, and sometimes even high school, and even in college, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen, what the changes are going to happen in their lives. And just because he got a 2.4 GPA his first semester in college doesn't mean that he quit, and it doesn't mean that his life was over. And he still made good choices, and the world is open for him. So allowing your kid to make mistakes is okay. With that, we as parents have to learn how to take a deep breath when the kid doesn't complete an assignment correctly, or they don't complete the entire assignment, or they really have like half the answers on the math thing are wrong, and you're looking at them saying, that's not right. That's not right. That's okay. It's okay, because you don't always have to be the bad guy. The kid completed the assignment. They tried. Let the teacher handle the rest of it. And failing is okay. It's okay at a certain age to fail, and they will learn, they will grow. It's what they do with that failure that's the important question and the important part. And it's also really important to know that not all kids are alike. One of the things that I love about this idea of talking about parents and homework is that sometimes it's best to learn from each other. So I, as a parent, I know what it's like to parent my own children. I know that all four of them are completely different. They handle homework completely different. They handle school completely different. My 18-year-old said, I'm not going back to in-person learning. I love this online stuff. I don't have to deal with people. And I said, how is that possible that you're my child? But every kid is completely different. And so it's important to know that they learn completely different. So I thought it would be really fun is if any of you are open to sharing one of the ideas that maybe there's a method that you might have tried with your child. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. And it might help other people if we share an idea that someone in this group might have. Is anybody brave enough to share?
I can go.
Oh,
So when my kids was my girl was really little, I got lots of work paper from online. I put them in some place she can see, but I never let her touch. And sometimes she asks, "What's that?" And I say, "Nothing. Just move on, and we can do some other fun stuff." So she get really curious. And I made that paper is something she really desire to get and work on.
Love it.
So I'm not use that way. Say, hey, you have to do this. You have to practice your ABC. You have to practice your vowel word or sign word, or you have to do the math. I just put the paper there she can see and made it something that is like a fun gift she can have when she behave good. Sometimes I should behave good and say, hey, how about we do this? And she asks again, say, Mom, what's that? I say, oh, you won't do that? okay, maybe we can do it. Okay, let's sit down. So she was really excited and get a paper, get a pen, and start work on it. And I continues that my secret tips, and it worked for her. She really excited every time I bring a paper out, say, do you want to do this? And yeah, she's like, oh yeah, and we can work on that. So at the beginning, kids have a really short attention. So if she not complete the whole paper, I would just like, okay, we can do next time. So the main goal is not let them feel like this. That's the things that you want them to do. If that's things that they want to do it, that's
Right.
them.
Yeah. So you kind of made it like it was their idea. Like it
Yeah,
was
it's like their choice. It's like a rewards. It's their choice. They want to do it. It's not I push them.
right. That's great. That's a smart idea. That's very good.
I think Adriana might have had one too.
Adriana, are you there?
I may be wrong. I thought someone else was chiming in with an idea when Rachel started.
Yeah, no, I thought you did too. No, I think that's good. I think, go ahead.
Sorry, I was trying to find my unmute button. Sorry about that.
That's
No,
okay.
no, I was thinking about like their homework. One thing that just came up to me, I have one of my daughters who's very, very shy. And this is not really homework. It's, that I pushed her to, do sports. She's very, very shy. Same thing like you said, she was like, I love staying at home. I don't want to go to school like this. Like I have straight A's here. I know what I'm doing. I ask, questions to my teacher, and I have that one-on-one, time, and I don't have to deal with other kids, their drama and all that stuff. So this past like 3 weeks ago, I was like, hey, I'm signing you guys up for soccer. And she was just like, no way, mom, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to play. Like, I don't even know what soccer is or anything like that. And I'm like, just try, just have fun,
Yeah.
I already have it all figured out. I want you to do it. She came home and absolutely loved it.
Yay.
She's like, I don't know the kids, but I went and I'm learning and I'm having so much fun. And they're giving us another 30 minutes and, I'm running, I'm exercising. And I was just like, if I wouldn't have pushed her to do it, she would have always been with that mindset of, I don't want to do it. This is not something that I like. So that's my experience. I think pushing your children to do things that are probably outside of their comfort zone. And if it doesn't, if they tried it, they didn't like it, at least they did it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's great. I think anytime you push your kid just a little bit to do something that's outside their comfort zone, even if it's for, like a spring soccer, which is a shorter season typically. So they're doing something a little bit out of their comfort zone, but you're the safety net. I mean, you're never going to let something be horrible for them. And they probably know that about you by now, so I think trying something new, trying something different is something that can work for a lot of kids. And, then she'll be more likely to try something new in the world of school or homework, in the future. So I think that's great. And she's learning that lesson.
Thank you, and Rachel, for sharing those ideas. Those are great.
And Adriana.
So what was I was gonna say, oh, here, let me do this. One of the last things that I was thinking about as I was preparing was when I'm working with my kid, I tend to ask some kind of open-ended questions. And when I'm talking with them, I try to ask open-ended phrases or questions that leave room for more than a yes or no answer. And sometimes homework or the process of homework, like if they're writing an English paper and they're really struggling about how to write a story or a persuasive speech, you know, sometimes talking it through at home with their family during dinner or before or after dinner is a great time to kind of make that happen. So if you're talking with your kids, try using phrases like, "What do you think?" It's an open-ended, hopefully maybe they'll give you more than "I like it" or "don't like it" kind of an answer. Why do you think that would happen? How can we start this problem? So if it's a math problem or an English essay or something, how can we start this problem? What could get us on the ball rolling? You can ask the child to reflect on how the teacher taught the assignment. So how did your teacher talk about the assignment? What were some of the words that you heard the teacher saying when they were talking about this math problem? A plus B equals C. What was that, an equation? What was that? What were some of the words that you heard? And then just asking them an open-ended, tell me 2 things you remember from the teacher instructions. And it could be anything, just 2 things that you remember. And you could even ask them that every day if you want to. Just checking for, my mom's going to ask me this question, or my dad's going to ask me this question at the end of the day. So I might as well listen to 2 things that the teacher told me. And they might take notes on 2 things, and they might start to learn what are those important things that the teacher is telling me. And so you kind of get a conversation going with the student that way, or with your kid. If you ask your child to teach you how to do something, not really the pretend game. Some kids work really well with the pretend game, like I can't do this, I can do this. So, but if you ask your child, how would you teach me how to do this if I don't know or I don't understand? Sometimes that reinforces learning, and your child can, they'll get it a little bit. Using phrases like, let's try to solve the problem together, rather than having your child think that they're all by themselves trying to solve it. If you're able to, if you say, let's try solving the problem together, that might mean let's email the teacher and ask them for some help. That's part of solving the problem. It doesn't mean that you have to take the child step by step through the issue or through the assignment. It could mean, let's email the teacher because I don't get it either. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. And then just trying to keep everything totally positive, keep everything on the up and up, keep everything upbeat, so that when the kid is doing homework, when your child's doing homework, it's not something that they hate so much. It's more of something they're happy to do. So those are some of my tips for homework and how to do it without actually doing it. I don't like to do homework, so I wouldn't think that most parents would like to do homework. But again, let your child do it, and if you need help with something, reach out, ask parents, ask teachers, ask friends, because they're probably all struggling as well with the same questions you are. That's why they created that TV show. Am I smarter than a 5th grader? Something like that, right? Isn't that, remember that television show? I mean, I question myself all the time. Totally understand.
I have to add to that, Christina, am I taller than a 5th grader? Some of us have that issue too.
Yeah, I don't have that one. I'm a little tall, but I do have the smarter. So, hey. Does anybody have any questions or any comments that you think that everybody might love to hear or benefit from?
I found that sometimes they only want to do what they want to do, and that's just how their mood is for the day.
Yep.
And as far as the homework goes, I started off with trying to do 2 hours and get everything done in one sit down, and that didn't work out so well. So I got it into increments of 20. So 20 minutes steady work, and then 20 minutes of free time, and then go back and forth. Then he started to be more inclined to get it all done at once, because then he had to come back to it. So it kind of worked out in a learning lesson of his own. And then also the teach me how to do it. Even myself, I found even nowadays that with teaching others how to do something, as another way of learning it and better understanding it.
Yeah, you're right. It totally reinforces it in your own head. When you have to teach someone how to do something, even if it's something about how to make the Zoom screen work or whatever it is, it reinforces it into your own head and you say, oh, okay, I can do this. I remember how to do this. I think that's great that you went through the process of learning that your child didn't like the 2 hours at a time and you tried something new. You tried something different, broke it down. And then he realized that he didn't like it broken down. I think that kind of happened this year with all of the Zoom online scheduling. My 16-year-old does not like those half-hour classes all broken up all day long. He would rather, like your child, rather sit for 3 hours and be done and never have to sit again, all day long. He'd rather get it done in one big chunk, but he didn't know that until he had to sit there for all day on Zoom. But it was not an entire 90-minute lesson. It was, a half an hour of a lesson and then 45 minutes of free time. But that's not really enough time to go anywhere or do anything or see anybody or even watch a show if he's going to watch a show. And so he would prefer to do it that way too. It's kind of that's fun that he learned that he liked to do it in a bigger chunk rather than.
I also found that sometimes the material isn't palatable. Sometimes it's just not in the right area as to how they're serving it. So what I found was that going to like the student supplies areas, they have the study books, study skills, just got to find their grade level. And if I took him to go pick it out, then he was more enticed to actually do the work because it was his style of, Spider-Man or whatever it was, you know what I mean?
I once had a teacher tell my child, I think he was in 3rd grade, and he told my child, I don't care what you read, I just want you to read. Kids in 3rd grade were reading those short stories and starting to read chapter books and all that stuff. And he just was having none of it. He wanted nothing to do with it. But what he did read, ESPN magazine. That kid is a 3rd grader, could tell you every stat from in baseball and in football, and still to this day can tell you, and he's 16 now, can tell you every stat in baseball, football, some in hockey, facts about players. My husband's fantasy football team was never better than when my kid was in 3rd grade being forced to read ESPN football magazine. The teacher just said, I don't care what you read, just read. And so when
food boxes are a good one to read too.
Yeah, exactly. And so when they have that opportunity to make the choice for themselves, give them the choice, because there's going to be plenty of homework assignments that they are going to be forced to do. Forced is a bad word, that they're going to be asked to do over the course of their careers as students. So any opportunity you can give a child to make the choice, make their own choice, again, that goes into the advocating for themselves and advocating for what they like. So you have, as a parent, have given them a choice in what they're reading, and they're going to be more likely to engage, right?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Rachel has a question here, Christina, about any mindset tips for parents who have children that have true difficulties with homework.
Mindsets for parents, like,
well, some parents, they really care about the homework, like because the school, how they care about the grades, how they care about children's outcome.
Right.
So that put pressure to both the student and the parents. That, so, parents don't want to their children come home, have lots of homework, and they tired, the children tired, parents, they said, I don't want you to do homework, but that's the things that your school have let you finish, and how they can deal with those stress, how they can mindset themselves to more so they can they change the mindset so they can more calm and help the children not stress about it too.
Yeah, I would, yeah, no, I think you're making sense. I think that makes sense. I think it's important. Number one, I would go back, I would start with advocating for the teachers. A lot of the increase in homework amounts starts in middle school and it goes all the way through high school. So by the time a kid reaches 6th grade, that's when the homework starts to mount. And then it increases, especially if a child is an avid student or a, what's the other word? If they're in those higher level classes too, the amount of homework actually increases exponentially. My daughter's in a writing 121 class, and right now it's technically a college class that she's taking as a senior in high school, which some people
classes.
Yeah, any of the AP classes. Thank you. The amount of homework then increases exponentially as you go up throughout the high school career. When they're in middle school and you're still able to have some of those rational conversations with, that was probably a bad way to say that. You're still able to have some conversations with teachers about the amounts of homework and the time and the expectation that they are really expecting the kids to spend. Some kids will get a mass amount of homework and they'll be really fast at it. And so teachers think, well, this kid did, read 5 books and wrote 3 papers overnight. Why can't the other kid? So shouldn't every kid be doing this? And if we as parents don't kind of step in and advocate for our kids and say, look, my kid can't do that amount. They're smart, they're awesome, they're great. It's just too much. It's just too crazy. And really just having a conversation with the teachers about it. That's number one. But number two, don't let the kids see your frustration with it.
Okay.
Because then the child says, oh, my mom thinks this is ridiculous, or my dad thinks this is silly. I don't want to do the homework. And so then they just don't. And so we don't want that. We don't want that, because we want the child to learn the responsibility of doing the homework and reinforce the skills that the teacher wants the child to learn. So then it kind of goes back to, let's go back to the teacher and say, what's the most important thing that they're learning from this exercise? And then maybe we can pare it down with the teacher, with the help of the teacher. Sometimes teachers just really don't know how much they're assigning and how much it mounts. Sometimes they really have no idea. They're just trying to help and give guidance and assignments that are reinforcing the ideas that are taught in class. And most of the assignments are awesome. They're great, but sometimes they're just too much. And so some of it just becomes a conversation with them. And then manage the expectations realistically as a parent. Kids are not always going to finish everything. They will do the best that they can. Manage the expectations and bring it down a notch in terms of stress. Take deep breaths. When the child talks to you about the fact that they couldn't get all of this done and they're stressing about it, ask them what's the worst thing? What's the worst case scenario here? What's the worst case scenario? You don't finish the assignment. Okay. I mean, when you start to talk about grading and how grades are handed out now, a lot of grading is done by proficiency scoring. And so homework assignments matter a little bit less. And it's more about the student gaining the mastery of the knowledge over a course of time. So once they master that skill, then they're proficient in that skill. And that's what the grades are more focused on. So it's not just a check of the box all the time. Some teachers still do the check of the box. It's just kind of be an individual thing. But manage your own expectations of your child realistically as well. Some kids really just can't do it. Some kids can. Some kids need to be pushed and need to be encouraged, and they have an awesome amount of potential, and they thrive on doing those homework assignments. That's awesome. Encourage them. Encourage their inquisitive minds. That's fantastic. That's not all kids. So you know your child best. And that's where I would say advocate for what your child needs and see if you can, you know, filter the gap between you and the school or you and the individual teacher. Harder to do in
I
high school, but you can still do it.
I also found for myself getting frustrated with the working together with the child and the homework. Every day isn't the best day. So I found the best thing to do is if I didn't need to be there at that time, that go ahead and leave the room. Wait until they actually need me. So that way I'm not there 100%, stressing out about the work itself on my own behalf.
Absolutely. You are a parent and you're also, a human who has other things to do. I mean, go do them. Do the laundry, do the dishes, do work around the house, do work for your own self if you can work from home and do some online while they're doing their own thing. Do you do you, and the kids will come and ask for help when they need it.
Christina, can I add something? This is just an experience that happened to me. Like I mentioned before, I do have 2 jobs. So my other kids, they watch out for one another, so they have they use some type of math program where they answer the questions and then they press the button and it goes to the next one if they got it correct. And, they have to get a certain percentage, right? So my son, my 2 older girls, they're excellent at math, reading and stuff, but he struggles with math. So there was one time that he was there, and, my second oldest was, she sent me a message and she's like, Mom, Alan is struggling with math. He's been doing this program for, over 2 hours. And so I ended up calling them and I said, okay, I think you're done doing homework. And I sent his teacher a message and I said, I think he's struggling with math. Is there a way you can set some time aside and explain to him, where he's having a hard time? And so, like I said, I always have them take notes and stuff. And so he came to her with those. And I mean, he was so happy because he was like, I understood it the way she explained it to me, because I'm using the computer and it's not clicking with me in my head and using the screen time. And he was like, I was done. And so he was like, thank you. So sometimes not just having them have that communication, you getting involved and saying, okay, this really does matter. I've known that you've done the best and now let's ask for help.
Absolutely. Totally wise. Yeah. Those sometimes for some kids, those online things like I referred to at one point Dreambox, which is what Beaverton School District uses. There are other math programs, but sometimes it works for some kids and it doesn't work for others. I have even done half of my, in order to get her to do it, she does a question on Dreambox. I do a question on Dreambox. She does a question. I do a question. So, I mean, sometimes even filling in the gaps like that. I also email the teacher and say, I did some of these just so you don't think that she's really all that smart. But anyway.
So I think we're getting close to the end of our time here, and really some great comments and questions and just fabulous ideas, I think, that you all have been sharing. But now it's time to see who's going to win a door prize. So Shari's going to spin the wheel.
Yay.
Really great presentation, Christina. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks. I really loved hearing from everybody. I think it's really, really fun when other parents and other people get together and they just share ideas. I learned a lot. So I think that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, everyone who shared, thank you so much for chiming in. Also, we have one more parent speaker series next Tuesday, and it's about balancing work, life, and all the rest. So a good session to close out our 5-session series. Okay.
What happens after that one session? Do you guys continue anything else?
We're considering possibly doing another parent speaker series, but in the future. So we don't have it planned out immediately. And if you have ideas for other things that we can do, send us an email.
Send them, William, and make sure you're on our mailing list. You get on it from the website because you get a newsletter once a month that tells what's coming up. So it's a good way to keep updated.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, here we go. Let's see who wins. I think Alfredo might have stepped out. That's so funny.
Okay, let it try again.
Yeah, I think he left. So Alfredo,
Yeah.
sorry.
Bad day.
Oh my gosh.
Christina.
Wow, otra vez.
Yes, sí, otra vez.
Yeah.
That's great, Christina. Congratulations. She was one before. I will send her an email and CC you, Katie, and y'all will figure that out. And again, thank you all so much for being a part of our Parent Speaker Series. If you have any questions, please email us and we'd be happy to talk to you further.
Thank you, guys. You're
Good to
awesome.
see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Gracias.
Good night.
Thank you, Talia.